Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my.
Dude, this is crazy stuff, man.
What?
Well, this is like a classic little guy versus big guy fight. This is a David versus Goliath type of day. And you know, it's interesting, Cage, from my perspective, and we're not going to talk a ton about stocks because that's not what we do, but it's funny what united us. It's so funny what united us. You know, you have AOC, you have Dave Portnoy, you have Ted Cruz, you have people from all sides of the political aisle. And the last year has been, you know, Democrats, Republicans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's pretty cool how this has united a lot of the internet, where it's us versus them, us being just the common folks, the guys and gals that are just trying to make it, versus, you know, some of the people, you know, where I guess where I started in a lot of ways, Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, and the hedge funds, Wall Street versus Main Street. And Cage, the video you posted on our Instagram page just, you know, what was it, less than an hour ago, was just blowing up. People love your take. Before we talk sports cards, because I do think this is actually, it actually all ties in a lot of ways back to, you know, what we've been talking about with confidence in the stock market and, you know, why I thought cryptocurrency was going to go up. And I think this is only in favor of sports cards. I really, really do. But I'm curious your take. And then obviously, you know, we're going to do a daily episode today where we're going to have 2 sports card plays. But it's hard not to touch on this given everything that's going on today in just the Twitter sphere.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's interesting to say the least. It doesn't surprise me that this is a unifier because, you know, who's on one side of the coin? Somebody you can't root for. Wall Street, you know, you know, they're the easiest villain in the world. You know, if you were going to write a movie, a hero movie, you know, the easiest, most cliche villain is Wall Street. So it doesn't matter if you're a Republican, you name it. You want an easy victory. You want some low-hanging fruit. You go out there and you say, whoa, come on, the common man. You know, we're sticking up for the common man. So it doesn't surprise me that Ted Cruz and AOC find themselves on the same side of the discussion at all. You know, that said, it is an interesting thing that we have going on. That's the word I will use, right? Because it makes me think of a million things, right? I'm on Top Shot and, you know, I'm on there and I start to talk and I'm on Discord and all of a sudden 8 people, you know, hear what I'm talking about. You know, like a couple of weeks ago, I said, buy this Giannis card for $15. It's going to go limited and it's going to go up. Buy this now while you still can. It was $15, kind of like I did on here, guys. I mean, I'm always giving tips. I'm always giving my ideas. And that card 3 weeks ago, that moment was $15. It's now $450, 30x. Right. So I got a lot of people who added me into their little Discord groups. What do you think is next? What do you know, give us some ideas, blah, blah, blah. After 3 or 4 days, the groups became nothing more than pump groups where it was, okay, there's 30 of us in the group. Everybody go out and buy every TJ McConnell card for $1. Okay, we bought all of them at $1. Everybody go out and buy $2. Everybody go out and buy 3, 4, 5. And before you know it, then they would go into the other main room and say, oh, TJ McConnell, there's an error on the moment. Or TJ McConnell, there, you know, there's a run on it. Someone's trying to buy all of them. You got to get it now before they're $10. And then they would dump their $1 and $2 or $3 ones for 5, 6, 7, or 8. Somebody else would be buying it. Somebody else would have it at that $6, $7, or $8 TJ McConnell. And the following day, 3 days, whatever it was back to $2. And somebody else was left in the $7, was left holding the $7 TJ McConnell bag of shit. Right. So I'm not in any of those groups anymore. I said, guys, you could add me whatever you want, but I'm not going to participate in this shit. Like, that's not me. It's not how I roll. But it's funny because this was before any of this GameStop stuff went on, right? So that was just an unorganized group of, you know, Discord weirdos who decided to raise a $1 or $2 moment on Top Shot up to $7 or $8, right? But think of it, if you can get a little more coordinated, right? A little more muscle behind it. And I was listening this morning. Actually, it was last night. Portnoy, you know, my wife was playing it. And she's like, you hear about this GameStop film? And it's impossible not to. She's like, listen to this. And he's like, I got $1 million. And, you know, I think it's going to explode again tomorrow. And half of me now is saying, okay, well, is he really every man? No, I mean, I get where he's coming from, but think about it and slice the many layers of this, right? And you, as the retail investor with your $500, Robinhood account or whatever it is, Portnoy wants you to go out and buy more that morning because he's got a million shares of it himself. So he's out there basically cheerleading and pumping it himself. So there's a lot of layers of this crap, right? You want to be mad. You want to be mad at Wall Street and Robinhood and shutting down the system and the whole deal. Well, be mad at Portnoy, who was on last night saying, "Go ahead and sell the stuff," or don't be mad at him. Maybe he's being altruistic. You never really know, right? Maybe he's actually sticking up for all of the people that he was a couple years ago and wants them to have the ability to ride this out. And they played by the rules. And maybe the little guy needs a champion like him to spearhead it.
Cage, I think you hit the nail on the head right there at the end, because there's everything with media and with social media and controlling internet and having millions of followers. In one way or another, it's kind of always a pump and dump. It's always a pump scheme, right?
But well, I have to apologize, right? Because I call it a pump every now and again. But is it really a pump, or is it somebody with enough clout to shine a light on it where people will notice some inequality, some market inequity, some arbitrage opportunity? Whether we're talking about Gary Vee holding up Giannis cards,
I was going to say that was going to be my example. That was going to be. There's a difference when you win with your people versus when for you to win they have to lose. That's a big difference. When Gary holds up a card, he owns that card, so he's in the bet with you. When Portnoy buys 1 million stocks or 1 million shares of GameStop, sure, there is a lot of layers like you mentioned, but at least he's on that side with you. If he wins, you win. If you win, he wins, versus being on the other side. And for the hedge funds to win, you have to lose. I think that is an important layer to be said.
Yeah, but you have to even peel that back a second, right? Because Portnoy's now telling people, or Gary's now telling people to buy this card or buy this stock at this price. They're in it cheaper. Right. So, and that's why you have regulations on these things, right? Because you're not supposed to trade ahead. You're not supposed to pump like that, right? Elon Musk is not supposed to come out and tweet how, all these things, they get slapped on the wrist, right? So, look, he's in a different spot. He's an officer of his own company, publicly traded. Shareholders can band together and then share as much information as they want until they get to a 5% ownership stake. And then they have regulatory requirements where they have to report. But I don't think any of these guys in this Reddit group have a 5% stake in GMA. This is a greed story, man. I think as of yesterday, the short ratio on that stock was like 2-1. I think it was like almost a 200% short ratio, which, if you don't know what that means, if you're tuning in for card stuff, it means basically they're borrowing these shares, they're selling it with the idea that they're going to buy it back later on at a lesser price. And basically a 2-1. So that means that those borrowers, they're betting on this stock to tank was 2 times the share volume. There's 2 times the amount of shares that are out there, and that's short squeezes happen often. Normally, they're based on the fundamentals of the company. It's earnings day, right? Lululemon has not had some good quarters, and the hedge funds are betting against it, and they come out after 4:00 after the bell and say they sold a lot of pants this quarter, and the earnings were better than they were last, and the stock goes up. There has to be covering. You have to cover your short position. You have to own that stock. You borrowed it. You have to buy it. And the hope that they have is they buy it cheaper. But because of some fundamental driving the price up, because the earnings were good, normally they have to cover higher, which is a short squeeze, very definition. These guys are creating an artificial short squeeze. But there's nothing against the rules. They're not doing anything against the rules. Listen, what does it tell you? The world gets creative as we go, right? There's always innovation. There's always innovation in the tech space. And this is something that would never have happened a couple of years ago because there just wasn't the ability to coordinate this type of an effort.
Cage, I've been in sports betting for quite some time, but I'm only 31. I don't know a lot. But in my time, I have never seen so much speculation on different assets.
Yep.
Like just pure speculation. Like you used to speculate on games, right? You just bet on a game. That's pure speculation. You have no idea what's going to happen. Now we speculate on crypto, on sports cards, on Taylor Horton Tucker, on GameStop, on AMC, on Sandoval, on Tesla. We're just speculating everywhere. Now where financial markets used to be, you know, where you put your money, it's your 401k, it's supposed to be relatively safe if you put it in an ETF, right? There's just speculation across the board. Have you ever seen it like this?
No, but it is very akin to our hobby, right? And I love it because in one text, Gary will be, you know, talking about all the great things about cards and how these things are going to be $1 million and how we're in the first inning and we're there. And in another text, he'll put a picture of your boyfriend, Tyler Hero's cards up with the market cap and compare it to a Jason Kidd card, right? And say this someone's going to get left holding the bag on this and blah blah blah. But the Hero card is the same kind of thing. It's prospecting. We've seen it over the last couple of years with Prism rookie cards, with base, you know, PSA 10s and silvers and whatnot. That they have much more of a wide disparity in pricing. They go up, they go down based on, you know, it's all prospecting, right? I mean, it's prospecting in those cards. So you know, our hobby here is no different. I don't think than what's going on in the rest of the world. People are being more diverse with their money though, right? And I mean, you know, a little bit in GameStop, a little bit in stocks, a little bit in cards, a little bit in art, a little bit of real estate, a little bit in Top Shot, some blockchain. I mean, you know,
I think people are shooting for the stars. I think really do believe people are shooting for the stars. I want to ask you something. We're really lucky at Luca Nation because this man right here, he's not just a celebrity. He's not just a male model. He is actually he doesn't just bring you money-making plays with sports cards. He's a lawyer. This guy's a lawyer. Talk to us about class action lawsuits. Is that something that could happen? Is there anything that – so Robinhood suspended the buy side of AMC, GameStop, Sandoval, or like some other stocks. You guys know them. You can look them up, which ones they suspended.
Yeah, Nokia probably too.
Okay. That's highly illegal from what Twitter
says. I'm not. I mean, the Twitter experts are saying it's
from
illegal,
what Twitter
right?
says.
Yeah.
So I want from the lawyer to hear right from your mouth what can happen. What do you think will happen?
Listen, there are securities class actions filed literally every day. So I'd be shocked if something didn't come out of this. Normally, they are on the side of, you know, against a company because their earnings were crap and they didn't post stuff and they misled people and, you know, they didn't put the information out that should have been out, and, you know, investors over a certain time period were misled by their financial statements and the like. That's very different than what you're talking about, and I'd be shocked if what Robinhood did is in any way a violation of their user agreement. I'm certain that they have something in there that when you click through to use their app, which you don't pay for, right? You know, you click through to use it. Their user agreement, and I haven't read it yet, but I will just out of curiosity, says something like within the discretion of Robinhood at any time that they have identified what they consider a trading irregularity. And it's going to be a broad term like that it's within their discretion to halt trading on any security. And I'm sure there's a blanket protection in the user agreement for them to do that. Maybe not so much for other brokerage houses, but I'm sure Robinhood, as part of their, you know, the way they work with their, you know, their app and they're free and you're not paying for it and all that stuff, I'm sure that there's probably some significant wiggle room that allowed them to do what they were doing. I can't say that for certain. It doesn't mean people aren't going to sue. I mean, I can open up a phone book right now and file a lawsuit against anybody I want. Doesn't mean I'm going to win, but anybody can file a suit against anybody. You don't actually have to have grounds. It'll get thrown out of court, but you know, I'm sure that there will be, you know, securities lawyers, you know, gearing up for all kinds of litigation on both sides of this fight. I mean, look, it gets everybody talking, right? And let's take it away from the stocks and the whole deal, because I don't want to be boring anybody. I love where you're going with it, right? To shoot for the stars, right? I love it. I love it because you don't get to the stars if you don't take a shot at them, right? I mean, everybody's home, everybody's dreaming, everybody, you know, this has been a crazy year. I mean, just look at our space, ourselves included. Yeah, you launch a podcast, right? There's so many other content providers out there. There are 1 million of them on stocks. I'm sure there are podcasts all over the place talking about this GameStop thing all day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they don't talk about sports cards, but they talk about their version. I mean, you know, it's just, you know, the world gives you lemons, right? What do you do with it? You know,
lemonade, right?
That's this is what they say, right? So you know, that's the human side of the story, right? I mean, I read into this and I'm like, all right, there's a lot of people out there teaming up. There's a lot of people out there taking on the system. There's a lot of people out there being creative and smart and figuring out a way to play within the rules and try to win. Of course, the sad part about that is that you win enough and it looks like somebody's going to try to change the rules on you. You know, it's, you guys, I'll give you a glimpse into me. My aunt's house in New Jersey before my senile uncle went completely senile and burned his house down smoking cigarettes. They'll never admit to that. It was an electrical fire. But they had this awesome wallpaper.
There's no video. They don't know if you're joking or not.
There's awesome wallpaper in their bathroom. And it had little sayings on it. She was one of these nutcases, right? It had like little sayings on it, right? And I remember these sayings until the day I die. But a couple of them that you'll like, Andrew.
Tell me.
One, the favorite for you is, by the yard, life is hard. But by the inch, life's a cinch. So that's for you. Small goals.
Take it one day at a time. You remind me of that a lot with our podcast because we're growing. We have a ton of responsibility. We have new partnerships, a whole slew of things that we need to do. And just take it one day at a time. You're absolutely right.
But the one thing that is applicable to this one, it says, just when I think I can make ends meet, somebody goes and moves the ends. And it's the same thing as this, right? You have this group that's together and they figured out, hey, this is the way to do it. We're going to play within the rules. We're going to do this, blah, blah, blah. And after they've made their money, after they've pulled the pants of Wall Street down, enough people get together and say, well, you know what? We're going to change the rules on you. You know, we're going to shut this thing down and figure out a way to stop you, which is, you know, I mean, that's sad, right? It really is. It's you know, you want to call it un-American? I'd let you get away with that.
Well, this is one of the benefits. If you guys look at crypto went up 4 or 5%, Ethereum's up, Bitcoin's up. A big part of that is the fact that, and we talked about this a little bit recently, is that the securities markets, they close at 4 p.m. and they open at 9:30 and they're closed on the weekends. And they also have a certain layer of manipulation on it because there is no general ledger. Right? Well, crypto and Top Shot. See, now I know Cage. I don't just talk about crypto. I throw in Top Shot for him.
Which is, to keep me interested.
Yes, exactly.
Ian,
I don't want to bore you.
Ian just came down and told me, tell Andrew, if life gives you lemons, call them yellow oranges and sell them for twice the price.
Squeeze them in people's eyes. Yes.
No, he says, call them yellow oranges and sell them for twice the price. I don't know where this stuff comes from, but there you go.
There's such a level of transparency, believe it or not, with crypto and Bitcoin, because you have the general ledger. You see who's doing the transactions. You see how big those transactions are. No one controls it because there's no intermediary, and they're tradable all the time. Now, let's keep it moving because we don't want this to be the longest episode ever.
I like the tradable all the time part, by the way. That is a key. That is one of the limitations on stocks and you know, the whole deal. So yeah, I mean, it's a cool intro,
that
right?
Criteria too, though, Cage.
Yes, they do.
Are traded all the time. They have a less of a layer of transparency, but there is a layer of transparency. Especially PWCC would take off that stupid private bidding feature that they have, so that we can actually see who is bidding on these items. That is an important layer because, dude, all we want, I think all 99% of people want, is just a fair playing field, equal opportunity, not equal outcome. We don't want equal outcomes. We want equal opportunity and a fair playing field. Now, I don't want to give this guy too much of a platform because I think our audience is thousands of times better than his millions of followers. But did you see Vegas Dave's post and video at all?
No.
Okay.
No, once he said that everybody should invest their millions of dollars into Derek Carr, you know, it's great that you segue from pump and dumps to Vegas Dave. So, you know, I'd like to say you did that on accident, but I don't think that's the case. But no, tell me about it. I didn't see it.
Well, when someone has a big platform and they post something like, hey, the market's going to collapse in 24 months, people listen. But I think we have a lot of shared followers here. And I went on and I listened to his live. And
is that what he said? The market's going to collapse?
Yeah, the sports card market's going to collapse. And he called everyone sheeples. And he said he's putting the flag, you know, it's people like me who put the flag at the top of the mountain and then you guys follow. But there was no substance. You know, when people just talk, but there's no substance as to what is your logic or reason. So I listened. I knew people were going to be DMing and asking us about it. There's no substance to what he said. Of course, anyone could be right. Like I could predict random things and a clock is right twice a day, but there was no substance to the video.
Okay, a clock is right all the time. A broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah, these are the small things that our audience will get out of the show.
You're absolutely right.
It's a broken clock. Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Even a blind squirrel gets a nut sometimes.
There you go, man. This is great. So Vegas Dave, I did not see it. I would wonder how he reconciles that with the multitude of videos that he has out there talking about how cards are going to the moon and how, you're investing in these things and this is the place to put your money and that he's going to be setting records on his cards. Maybe it's because, he's not the record holder anymore of the highest price card. Who knows? But listen, here's the best part of it. If everybody agreed, there'd be a problem. I'd be very nervous if every single person out there said, hey, you know what you should do? Put your money in cards. Put all of it in cards because it's all going to 10x this year. Okay, you know what I would do? I would sell every single card I had because that's never going to work, right? You're not going to get rich when everybody gets rich. That's just not, it's not it, right? It's not it. It's what's, it's the scary part of buying into the GameStop today or tomorrow, right? Because you're kind of late to the party, right? So I don't know what's going on with Mr. Vegas, Dave. I'll watch.
Well, you made a good point, right? You just said, how is he going to reconcile it with his other videos when he's talking about cards going to the moon? Do you know how he made his money? So he used to have,
tell me.
In the early days of gambling, there were these people called touts, right? We'd go Covers, which was a forum. And if you were build a following there, you would be like, hey, I'm going to create my own website and I'm going to start selling picks, right? So what people did was, to keep building that audience, you have to be right. But it's really hard to win in gambling. Really, gambling, sports betting is more risk management than it is being right because you're only going to be right 55 to 60% of the time. But what he did was he sent his subscriber list. Half of them he sent one play. The other half he sent the other side of the play.
It's smart. It's smart because he whittles it down. If he has it big enough to start, then everybody he can have a certain level of clients at the end that he's been right 4, 5, 6 times in a row on, and those guys think he walks on water. So that's and then you can really have him. Once I win a bunch with you, then you got to really up the bets. Okay, I mean,
that's
who
exactly
falls for that? That's the question. Who falls for that? But anyway, it is what it is. Good for him. Again, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, unethical, I'm sure, but nothing illegal.
Yeah, I think today's a big line of ethics versus legality, right?
Yeah, but that's a great topic, and then that'll be the headline. That'll be the title, the name of our episode: ethics versus legality, illegal versus unethical. And guys, we've gone on crazy here. GameStop, you name it. You tuned in for sports cards and the like, and you get a whole lot more. You know what this comes down to? It comes down to the same kind of thing, right? You're not trading your cards just today. If you're like us and you're listening to this is something you plan on doing for years to come. This is a long game that we're doing here. And, I would tell you, obviously don't do anything illegal, but be ethical. You know what I mean? Everything we're saying is out there. You can hear all 200 and whatever episodes we have, the picks we made, the plays we made, the statements we made, and get called out on it, be honest, but we're not going anywhere. And I sell cards, right? I sell cards to people. And, you don't want to be that guy that's unethical. Remember that we're all part of a community here, right? You want to make sure that you are, you're a person of your word, you are fair in your dealings and that you're not trying to screw anybody over. So I'll tell you, listen, this hobby is interesting, right? And it's not just on the screw dealings. One poor submission in our Lucanation sub for this month. I had to let him know, he was having cards sent directly to us from eBay. I had to let him know it was a really cool card, black border card, but I know the cards from when I was collecting it as a younger kid. They are ones that get touched up. People take black markers. People take Sharpies to the cards. As soon as this card arrived and I pulled it out and saw the mag case, I saw what it looked like. I'm like, that card is touched. Like I know it because it was too perfect. And it was one of these cards that was thick stock and white card stock, but black borders on the card. And whoever it was that sold it to this individual, they didn't do such a good job because the Sharpie they used bled onto the white border of the card, right? Who's doing this? How is this something that gets done in our? So I sent them pictures and I said, give it back to your seller. Lucky for this person, this Luca Nation member, the seller just gave them their money right back immediately. But it's one of these things where it's like that goes on. Don't be the person that does that. The card was like a $30, $40, $50 card. Why do that for $30?
That happened to me with my Kobe Fleers. That Kobe Fleer Ultra, it's made on white stock, but it's black. The whole card is black, but the border, like the edge, right, is white. So that happened to me. I don't know, Cage. But yeah, I don't know. This is a good episode. And guys, we hope that you really enjoyed the hybrid grading episode yesterday. You got to understand, we bring you market movers. We're not going to agree with everyone. We're not going to be their biggest fan. Our job is to report the news in one way or another, well, while adding a little bit of humor, levity, and hopefully some good questions.
Well, that's you. Sometimes I'm a fan, man. Lefko comes on, and I'm in awe. So we got to get him back on. Jeremy Padaro comes on. I'm a fan. That guy makes toys. You know, I mean, some of these guys come on. I'm a fan. So I apologize. Sometimes I'm a little starstruck by some of these people. We have some folks on that I really am a fan of, and I'll be honest. I was a fan of the guy yesterday. I did not know what to expect. It was one of those episodes I did not know where we were going to go with it. And while I don't know whether or not they're going to have any real inroads towards PSA, whether there's any long-term sustainability of their product, that hybrid grading, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. The guy seemed to be a real man of his word, Tyler, right? I mean, he seemed to be, really putting his own money and his own name, his own reputation on it. And when you do that, you're more likely to succeed. And he seems to be in it for a long term, right? Not just a quick little hit. So I wish him success. And there was definitely some cool stuff. If you didn't listen to that episode, take a listen because it was a little more organized. And normally it's me going off on tangents, not reining people in. So if you want for the first time ever in 200 episodes, me actually trying to rein someone in, take a listen to that one.
I love it. I think the play I'm going to bring you guys today is one that you guys know me. I'm a big fan of zig when they zag. I always do that. Sometimes I catch trends, but this is a real zig when they zag play. And there's one type of card market that's just been out of sight, out of mind. But back in August, it was blowing up. Do you remember that card market?
In August, Pokemon?
Yeah. Pokemon, yes, and soccer cards.
Soccer, yes.
And the Mbappe Prism cards, Cage, I think they were 2,000 for PSA 10?
The PSA 10 base was 3,000. I know this because PSA charged me $50 upcharge for all of my 10s. $50 upcharge for all of my 10s. And $20 upcharges for all my 9s. The 9s were $1,000 when I got them back.
And guys, what's interesting about this card is you would think that there's a huge pop out there, but there really isn't. There's only 4,700 graded, 2,300 pens. So a 50% gem rate. It's not an easy card to gem. And that card is back down to $700 in a 10. In a 10, the Mbappe card.
Yep.
And let's talk. So now
I sold one last night for $755, by the way, so he's 100% right. Myself sold one $755. Regretted.
Well, I think it's a good play because here's the thing. He's a young superstar. I would compare him to Luka, but he already has a world title. He's won the World Cup. Now, soccer's a different sport. It's a whole different thing. It's hard to compare, but I think when you see Luka Prism cards go for 2,000 at their, just a few weeks ago, now they're 1,100. They have a much higher pop. Of course, there's a lot more demand for NBA. We know that. But you get this young, really, really talented player on an amazing club team in PSG who might go to Liverpool. You never know where he's going to go. He more than likely will move because that happens in soccer. He's already has a World Cup, and you get his Prism PSA 10 for $700. I saw one on Facebook Marketplace sell for $650 instantly. I think that's a great deal, and that's a real zig when they zag. And what's cool is, what you guys need to realize is NFL's done. Baseball, the hype is on baseball, but I don't think that baseball is nearly as big of a sport just right now. They don't do any marketing. They decided not to vote anyone into the Hall of Fame, which is just freaking hilarious. Any chance they get to have good publicity, they just choose not to do it. But
that's not baseball per se. I mean, they do it wrong. They should take that out. The way that they do it.
I know you're a baseball homer. I know you're a baseball homer.
It was, I got to tell you, you're right. The way that they pick who's in the Hall of Fame and who's out of the Hall of Fame, it's silly. And, they should fix that because it's sports writers. So they have no real accountability to MLB. It's not MLB that's making those decisions. So that's stupid the way to do it. And yeah, to have no Hall of Famer. The only pass I'll give him this year is because the last year's class, with Jeter, they weren't able to have a real induction ceremony and whatnot because of COVID. So I could give them a pass maybe if they just were like kicking the can for a year, and maybe they'll let these guys be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year instead of having two classes at the same time. Maybe. Also, you got to remember the top of the line guys are Bonds and Clemens, who next year is their last year. And I think a lot of people would tell you that the reason why they didn't get in this year is because the sports writers, who all want to concede that they should be in the Hall of Fame, did want to make them wait. The only thing these sports writers can do is make them wait the full 10 years to get in. So a lot of people think those guys are going to get in next year. Kurt Schilling, I don't know about the steroid part, but his politics have rubbed people the wrong way. But I think he gets in next year too. Silly, right?
I don't care about his politics. He's just a good player. Anyway, it's irrelevant. I'm not going to get into baseball. I don't know baseball. From just a basic fan of the sport, it's not. I don't think it's good for the sport. But who cares? Anyway, soccer. You're going to get into the tail end of the season. You have Champions League coming up. I think there's going to be a run-on. If nothing else, I think this is a $1,000 card, which you're going to get 30-40% return. But I think Mbappe, if PSG makes a run in Champions League, if he becomes on the transfer wire and people start talking about him, going to Liverpool or going to City and getting a buyout, that hype will push the card even higher. I think that now is a real opportunity to take a look at the Prism Mbappe PSA 10.
I like it. I mean, it's I have sold off almost all of my Mbappe just because I do preach one thing, and it's don't get spread too thin. And, with the time I'm now spending on Top Shot and Star Stock and watching almost every basketball game that I can and paying attention to Pokemon, soccer was just one of those areas in my collection where I was like, I'm not going to be able to spend enough time on this. I don't know Mason Greenwood from Ansu Fati. So, I mean, I can't tell you the teams. I can tell you the games. I don't know when they play. I don't know if I'm awake for it. I don't know the leagues. It would really just take too much of a deep dive for me to really, get as well versed in it as I would need to be. I can speak on it and I'll have some knowledge about it, but it was just not an area that I was looking. I'll keep a couple of Mbappe PSA 10s, but I kind of trimmed my collection down. I got a whole bunch of Mason Greenwoods at PSA. They've been there for 6 months, and they'll come back in 12 years after he retires. We'll see what happens. But in any event, all right. So I'll go the other direction, guys. So I gave a lot of thought to this one. We got a lot of listeners out there who love the Potter play, right? Not because they were Potter fans, because they understood the Potter play. They understood the way that it was part of society, part of what was going on, part of nostalgia, you name it, right? I got a lot of people out there who love that play. Got a lot of people out there looking for the next big thing, right? And so I started thinking to myself, like, what else can we bring to Luca Nation? The guys who listen to this, the gals who listen to this, and are the first 10 or 20 people who listen to the episode and want to go out there and grab something, and it'll get eaten up on eBay and gone. But still, it's something that's approachable, something that's fun, something you can open with your kids if you wanted to. And I think I found something. All right. It's not going to be the most expensive thing in the world, and it's not going to be the thing that blows your portfolio out of the water and has you 15,000x returns. It's not GameStop, but it's an approachable price point, and I think it's pretty cool. It's something different, not rare, but here we go. Do you remember David Peck when he came on? David Peck basically created a market for wrestling cards, right? I'm not a huge wrestling guy, right? But the wrestling market is on fire. The Hulk Hogan cards from 1982 are flying, thousands, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Andre the Giant, all these guys, all the big stars, Ric Flair, you name it. And there's a high-end wrestling market, a lot of wrestling cards out there. I think it's a little too late to try to jump on 1982 Wrestling All-Star, so I did a little bit of research. And in 1991, a brand, Impel, which is the same brand that was making cards for Marvel at the time, IMPEL, put out a box of wrestling cards for WCW, World Championship Wrestling, which, before the merger of talent and whatnot, Hulk Hogan was in there. He's not in that particular set, but WCW Impel, they made cards, 36 packs. It's a purple box, pretty generic 1990, early 90s type of card. No real inserts, no real craziness. It's got a weird little yellow colored border on it. It looks like the 90s, like neon, very bold color type of thing. But it's the 1991 WCW Impel. I'll tell you, buy a sealed box, and you can get them for 20-something bucks. On the high side, $30-something, sealed in plastic. And why I'm telling you to do this. That's a 30-plus-year-old box that you can break. You can break yourself, your family, you name it. And if it happens that it's been kept in decent shape, there's multiple Ric Flair cards in there. They're not rookies. There's multiple Ric Flair cards. There are not a lot of Ric Flair cards out there, right? Everybody knows who Ric Flair is. The rookie cards are selling for a whole ton of money, right? This is a fun little arbitrage type of play, a fun little rip and slab type of play. So I'm gonna buy one of these. I won't buy it today. What's today? Thursday. I'll give it till next week early. If you guys haven't eaten up all the boxes that are on eBay, there's a pretty decent supply of them. I'll grab a box. I'll open the packs. I'll let my son open some, and maybe we'll get a Flair that's in decent shape, and we'll send a couple of Flairs and Stings and other WCW stars. We'll send them off to PSA in a bulk sub. We'll get them back 3-4 years from now. It won't matter because Ric Flair's retired and he'll still be retired. And maybe you take a $40-something box and you add on $50 or $60 worth of grading. You got $100 in it, and you're grading, a half dozen cards or so, and they come back and you get a decent enough grade on one of them. It pays for the entire thing. So there's not a lot of these cards graded. The pops on them are basically nothing, non-existent, because nobody's even thought about grading them. And I make no promises. Obviously, look at the condition of the box, look at the seal on it, look at, see whether or not it's somebody who looks like they've kept it in decent enough shape, or keep the thing sealed, right? Sealed wax. We're all looking for sealed wax. Here's a wrestling box that's 30 years old you can get for less than $30. I saw one that had the KB sticker, KB Toy Hobby Store, which a lot of people might not even know what that is. It was like a Toys R Us kind of a competitor that was in malls. I see the sticker price on it was like $20, and that was from back in 1991. So you're basically paying what you would pay if you went into the store and bought it, sealed at the time it came out. No real appreciation. So anyway, there's my play. It's another interesting one. WCW. It was like a WWF at the time competitor. And a lot of the talent came
into Bill Goldberg in that?
What's up?
Wasn't Bill Goldberg in that?
Goldberg was in WCW. Yeah, he was in WCW. Yeah, that was where the NWO was, right? I mean, go ahead.
Spearing people was his move?
The spear. Yes, he did the spear, Goldberg. Yep. Yeah. Listen, there's a whole bunch of guys in this. I think the Steiner brothers are in this set. Like I said, Sting was a big guy in WCW. There's a whole bunch, and there's multiple cards for each of these guys. So you buy a box, you're going to get them. You're going to get these guys. The condition, who knows, after 30 years. But, you might get lucky. It's just a cool, different play that you're not breaking the bank on. I was actually looking for some place to spend my eBay dollars, my eBay bucks. So, if you got those eBay bucks that came at the beginning of the month and they haven't expired yet, use it on this.
Love it. I have a few. I have about 60. So guys, we appreciate you so much. Like, as Cage said, it's been a crazy year. It's been a crazy 2021. Having you guys to jump on here, have kind of pseudo conversations with, more and more of you guys are sharing our posts to your story and, tagging your friends. And, we really don't spend any money on marketing. We don't really run Facebook ads or anything like that. We just produce content that we think is valuable, that hopefully, makes you laugh or helps you make money. And the way we grow is word of mouth. It's you guys telling each other that, hey, this is a great account. This is the best podcast out there. They bring content daily while everyone else is weekly. And we appreciate it so much. We appreciate when you share a post to the story, when you tag your friends, or when you just write a DM and say, hey, I really resonated with this message. Thank you so much. So just so you guys know, we appreciate it. We don't take that kind of stuff for granted at all.
No, it's Andrew's favorite thing in the world. I always say, hey, Andrew, what can I do for you? Can I give you some money? What are we going to do? And he's like, no, I just want to read the Instagram DMs of people who are fans of the show and telling us to keep doing what we're doing. I said, all right, well, that's what keeps you going.
Cage is being a little tongue-in-cheek here because I haven't answered as many DMs as he would have liked recently. And that's the way, poking the bear. Okay.
Listen, I try to answer them all. There's a lot. And guys, it's actually a very good point, right? So we're getting a lot of DMs as we rush forward towards 5,000 followers and then some. We have to say thank you. And that's what Andrew's message is. I mean, I would love love to be able to put links in those. If you're able to do that at 10,000 followers, love to get there, be able to put a link in there and be able to, hey guys, click on this. You'll see more of my ugly mug with stuff like today. We can, click through to maybe put some YouTube videos. I mean, we got a lot more stuff that we're planning, a lot more content for you guys. It's only possible to even think about that stuff because of you guys and the word of mouth and telling folks about it. I love the comments, just like Andrew was saying about how, we're the best ones out there. I happen to think it, but it's nice to hear that you guys think it too. So keep the DMs coming, keep the messages coming. You want to join an Instagram group? We've opened up a bunch more. We've made them a little more specialized now. If you ask about a specific, sport or you name it, and don't get nuts if we don't respond in a couple hours. Give me a little bit of time because there's a lot of messages, but we will get to all of them. I promise. Well, as of early yesterday, I had responded to everything. So
unlike you, Cage, I actually have a personal Instagram account that I post to.
I don't.
Life. And I get DMs on my personal account. Unlike you, who's kind of has like a Cage Lawyer J.K. Rowling account where you don't post. So no one even knows. No one sends you DMs Cage Lawyer.
I learned my lesson. I post my Chansey on there, and all of a sudden I was an Instagram model. Everybody wanted to DM me. They were all sliding into the DMs for my Pokemon stuff. So I'll have to post, pictures of my smiling face overlooking the beach, overlooking the ocean in Mexico. I have to, hey, this is me. I'm Cage. I don't want that, man. No, you don't want the attention. Come on now. You can handle that. You handle that. I don't want
Love that. You guys. Love you, Luke.
He's poking me, guys, because my Cage Lawyer Instagram is
weak
sauce. It's very weak because I don't like to. I'm not here to make myself a celebrity. I'm here to make these people money.
This is true. Who is that old man in your profile picture?
Oh my God. You've never heard of Satchel Paige?
Is he a friend? A mentor?
Yes. Actually, we went to school together.
I like his name.
Satchel Paige.
Yeah.
You really never heard of Satchel Paige?
No, but he sounds amazing. He sounds intelligent. He sounds like he could have been an athlete in his day as well.
That's a 1948 Leaf card in the ppicture. That's the old man. It's
a 48 cards on Leafs when you were born?
Yes, that's exactly what they did.
I don't get it.
Because Ian says I don't get it. That's from the same set as the Jackie Robinson and all those other ones. So Satchel Paige, many consider one of the greatest pitchers, but just didn't have a time. Didn't have the ability to come in because it was pre-integration. Really, it was before Jackie Robinson. So he was New York League pitcher, and that's and he was already old at the time. He was pitching, but allegedly the people who saw him pitch said that he was the best to ever pitch. So, that's a pretty short printed card. I have since sold that card, but I don't want to. I don't want to take it down. I love the card still. And one day I'll buy one back in a better grade.
Luca Nation, we love you guys.
Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.